Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers still need a 14th player. That 14th player is still likely to be a center. Could it be filled by an old friend? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how or where you get your podcasts, it's always going to be free. It is never going to be behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show, hang out with over 20,000 subscribers, all leaving questions, talking to us, and talking to each other. Just as importantly, please do leave us suggestions for guests, for show topics. We look at the page every day, and so we're always looking for the best stuff to wrap into the show itself. Do want to let everybody know that today's episode brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. $5, Andy, gets you $200 in bonus bets. That, just on its face, seems like a good deal.
Yeah, 40 times more. I can do that math.
Nice. Well done, Andy. I thought there was a reason we both do this as opposed to mathematicianing for a living. We're going to talk. We are going to talk about the Kobe statue. That announcement came, I think, just before the weekend, right?
And just after we did our 824 show, reminiscing about Kobe, talking about our 10 years covering him, memories, stuff like that. The response on that was great. We had a lot of really awesome comments on the YouTube comment section, stuff like that. So it's always good, and I think listeners, viewers, always appreciate us talking about Kobe. So we'll get into that later on.
And I like to think that the statue announcement was in fact a response to our show, that they were so moved by it. And until I hear evidence otherwise, that's what I'm going with. Austin Reeves again is just like he's becoming the most popular member of Team USA. I saw him referred to by our friend CJ Toledano from Follow Through as an honorary Filipino. He is super popular down there at the World Cup. Had a great game in the World Cup opener for the US. So we'll try to get to that before we're done. But roster business, Andy. The Lakers are still short a 14th player. Rob Pelinka has made it clear that 14th guy is going to be a center to help fill in the gap that is there. You got Anthony Davis and Jaxson Hayes, who's still a bit of an unproven commodity. They're looking for a more veteran player to come in and provide some support there. And in that regard, Andy, it is becoming clear, if it wasn't before, that the Dallas Mavericks and JaVale McGee are set to part ways. My understanding of the situation, reports are that if he is not traded by August 31st, and I do not anticipate that will happen, that the Mavs will let him go. And as soon as they do, he will be linked to the Lakers.
Well, not even by then. He already is. And frankly,
even more so.
He has been linked to the Lakers over the past couple months because it has been known for at least that time, if not longer, that JaVale's future with the Mavericks was pretty cloudy. He was brought in on a 3-year deal with the team looking to make him a big part of the core. He was promised a starting position. He was reuniting with Jason Kidd, who was an assistant on that 2020 championship team for the Lakers. And it took like 3 weeks for JaVale to fall.
8 games, I think it was, that our friend Nick Angstad at Locked On Mavs said when we talked to him about it.
Yeah, completely out of favor. And we've had a lot of listeners for Locked On Lakers, or people hitting us up on Twitter at Cam Brothers, asking us about JaVale. And it's one of those things, Brian, where the idea of JaVale is something that I would love to be viable, because I really liked JaVale a lot during the 2 years that you and I covered him. Like, I liked him a lot as a person. I loved his story and sort of his arc of development and perception and image over the course of his career. And the year he was the championship year he was with the Lakers, I thought he productively held down, an important role. It was not a major role, but it was important. But then there's the reality of JaVale McGee and where he is 3 seasons removed from that and 4 different teams removed from that. And I wonder if the reality isn't as great as the concept.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to, and people can go back. We talked about this with Nick when we did our crossover episode. He made it pretty clear. Like, look, there were some extenuating circumstances to some degree. The fit turned out to be bad, and everyone kind of gave up on the JaVale McGee experiment quickly, including, like you said, Jason Kidd, who brought him there. So, like, okay, maybe, but I saw this, like, look, if you're just trying to get like a 10 to 12 minute roll out of JaVale, and it doesn't even have to be every night, it's okay. Maybe you can kind of squint and say, like, if you only need to use him every 3rd or 4th day, and he's going to know the system and he's going to understand Darvin will understand, he'll play hard, he'll fill the role, he'll do it without complaining. There is some truth to that. But the Lakers do need a player who can give them more than that, because it's not just, can you provide minutes, 10, 12 minutes, whatever, when Anthony Davis is in the lineup. That is important. But you also have to factor in they're probably going to be 15 to 20 games. I mean, I think, thinking fairly conservatively, that AD is not going to play. And that guy, especially if Jaxson Hayes turns out not to be the player that the Lakers hope, as consistent as the Lakers hope, whatever it is, you need a guy who can give you more than 10 to 12 minutes for those 20-ish games, because otherwise you're being pigeonholed into a certain style of play that you may not want to play every game. And so if he was the 15th guy and they already had another center, sure. If he's the 14th guy in a position where you might need him, I am not terribly comfortable with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that the 14th roster spot on a team that went to the Western Conference Finals and got better, I think, during the offseason, that the 14th roster spot would seem so critical.
But it's not, because it's not really, it's the 14th roster spot to be filled.
Right,
it's
I know, but I'm just
necessarily the 14th roster spot in order of importance.
Right, but it just usually by now, spots 14 and 15 feel pretty incidental. Like, they don't feel like there's a lot hinging on them. But I agree with you. This spot actually does matter. Like, I was looking at some of JaVale's numbers in Dallas, and offensively, they were dreadful when he played. They were like, per 48 minutes, almost 10 points worse when he was on the court, 6-ish points worse per 100 possessions. And this was one of the best offensive teams in the league. And they were really bad when he was out there. Even if his own numbers around the rim were pretty good, like those raw numbers look good. But then if you dig a little bit deeper, not that JaVale has ever been known for having, being like a 3-level scorer, or, somebody you put JaVale out there, it doesn't matter where he is, he'll figure out how to score.
Cook.
Yeah. I mean, that's never been JaVale, but like, you look at the numbers and it's pretty clear. If it's not an alley-oop dunk or like an alley-oop layup and pretty much that simple, the numbers aren't good. I mean, even just like regular layups or stuff that he has to do more than just catch and throw down, the numbers are pretty bad. And that could explain why, even though his own percentages look individually pretty good, why the offense was not good with him out there. It's, not likely the only reason, but just he would have to be either really just wrong situation, wrong time, Jason Kidd having not figured this out, or just you're seeing a decline. Because look at Dallas right now. I know they have Rashawn Holmes. I know they have Dwight Powell. They're going to look to develop Derek Lively, but they have no established rim protection on this team at all. And they're still willing to pay JaVale not to play for them. than to bring him back. Just to bring him back, you could argue they're better off just having the contract.
There is a scenario in which I'm okay with this, and I'll get it next. But I want to ask you a question that kind of speaks to the larger question of what ought they do with this spot if, and because, the name Bismack Biyombo, Christian Wood, we all know the names they're sort of waiting on. But if other scenarios play out, I got one that I want to run by you and get your reaction, which you'd prefer, which type of player. So we'll do that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel, and get ready for the NFL season. It is coming up really soon with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed. You can use those bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, a whole lot more. Plus, all customers who bet $5 on whatever, you get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That is a great deal. Yeah, that is an awesome deal. So your $5 goes pretty far in a lot of different ways with FanDuel. It's the best time to join. The app is really easy to use. You can be on everything from the spreads to the player props, Super Bowl props, all that different stuff. It's awesome. All the options that you want, plus other sports going on as well. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Quick side note here. Well, I know we like going through the comments and stuff. The argument that bubbled up, the debate that bubbled up last week, thanks to Steph Curry about what, when he answered the question, who's the best point guard of all time, and he said himself, which obviously means I'm better than Magic Johnson. And I did not necessarily expect Lakers fans to agree with Steph. I don't think I agree with Steph. I find the question
we didn't weigh in on a one is better than the other either way.
And I don't care because I don't think it's so apples and oranges, both how they play and particularly the eras in which they play. I find comparing the two of them for their influence, as we did, more interesting. But yes. I will say this. A lot of Lakers fans sticking up for Magic Johnson, talking about how he played. They watched him play, and he played better defense than he's given credit for. Our source for agreeing that Magic wasn't a particularly good defender are his teammates who have talked about it. And Magic has also said the same thing.
Yeah, and
Magic Johnson has said he wasn't that good at,
right. And to be clear, neither one of us said he was horrendous, and we didn't say he was a liability. Like, you weren't going to take Magic off the court, because you just couldn't deal with his he wasn't that, but he was not a strength of their defense either.
No, he was someone that they often covered for with other defenders.
Right. And fine. At the end of the day, he was fine. Like, in the same way, Steph is not going to lock anybody down, but he's improved to the point where he's fine. I actually think he's become a decent
younger Steph was actually an underrated. I thought that was funny just because guys, we're not going back and running the tape here. We're just telling you what Magic said.
Right.
So I just thought it was funny, but I did not expect Lakers fans to react with the idea, Steph's got a point there. No. And no. I certainly
look, you're not an idiot if you say, I don't care what Steph says, Magic is the best point guard ever. Nobody's going to call you a fool.
Safe ground. That is safe ground.
Rock solid argument.
Yeah, it's right behind, I think, Michael Jordan is the greatest shooting guard of all time. That's a pretty defendable argument. So anyway, I just thought I thought that was fun. And please keep leaving us questions and comments. The debates that come out of stuff like that, particularly on the comments page, are a lot of fun. Anyway, here's the scenario that I want to run by you. Christian Wood signs somewhere else. Someone, as training camp approaches, can give him $3 million. He takes the money and he goes. The Lakers can't give him as much. Bismack Biyombo, same basic premise. Somebody loses their shot blocker. He can get an extra $1.5 million or whatever from another team. He takes that money. That leaves the Lakers with somebody like JaVale, a power forward type of, they just say, screw it. We're just not going to sign another center. We'll pick the best available player and we'll call it a day. Or if you still want to fill that center spot, you go and you find the G League player that most closely resembles the single skill set you want to get on this team, whether that's rim protection, 3-point shooting, whatever it is, a single skill set that you really feel like you want to get on the team, or the best available G League guy, whatever it might be, versus signing JaVale. So the unknown quantity on the young player you might have to develop a little bit, you can't rely on necessarily to fill the role you want, but might have a skill set or two that profiles at least for what you need. Or JaVale, who comes with the limitations. Which direction do you go?
I would likely go JaVale because you already have Jaxson Hayes, who is something of an unknown quantity himself. And there's a legitimate chance Colin Castleton could be on this team.
What I was thinking.
And while I like a lot of what we saw in the summer league, and I think a lot of his skill sets look like things that could translate decently over at the big boy level, he is still somebody who is completely unproven. And the whole point that we keep saying about why this spot matters is because of all these different unknowns. I'm not adding another unknown, inexperienced guy. Whoever they bring in needs to be established at the NBA level. Like, unless you think all of the JaVale McGees of the world can't play anymore, and that's why they're not on a roster, because you really just think they are flat out cooked and can't help you because they're cooked, you bring in JaVale or someone like JaVale.
And I think I agree with you. I think that's the answer. And I like that, the JaVale, or the sort of literally or figuratively, you bring in JaVale McGee. I feel like Castleton is that player. If you will, like, you have that guy. If you want to take a guy who you think, okay, he's got some potential. I mean, now look, I don't know the G League backwards and forwards. There may be a guy who's down there that is just like profiles as a defensive rim protector, basically kind of what JaVale is, only younger and maybe bouncier. And then, okay, maybe you can make it up, but I think the predictability is critical, at least at the beginning of the season, for this role. It is better for the Lakers to know what they're going to get and know what is available to them, even if that thing isn't good enough. At least you know what it is. Whereas that G Leaguer, you're not sure how he's going to react to different situations, how once defenses or offenses are aware of him, will counter that. Will he read it quicker? JaVale, you know what he's going to do those things. You're going to see, you know exactly what you're getting. It's just a question of whether or not he can fill the role that you want him to fill. If in December December rolls around and he's just not quite good enough, you praise him up and down for his professionalism, and you cut him. And it's okay. So I think that's the right answer. Ultimately, I wonder how close to camp, Andy, this is going to get fixed, because at this point there's no incentive for anyone really to move until there kind of is, until the Lakers can only offer what they can offer. And so those other players are waiting around. They kind of know what all the offers are. It's just a matter of seeing if anything else opens up.
Yeah, I mean, some of this I think is really linked to the Damian Lillard trade, the James Harden trade, or both trades, because there are teams who figure they may need to send out 2 or 3 players, fill a roster spot. Christian Wood has been specifically linked to the Heat in a post Damian Lillard trade world. There could come a point where the Lakers reach out to, Christian Wood's team, like in, mid-September, and just say, look, we need to fill this roster spot. We don't want to be left holding the bag, particularly if somebody like Biyombo is still out there. And it's like, look, we want to have this spot settled because we don't want to end up with neither Wood nor Biyombo. Right. Like, even, Wood is the higher talent guy. I mean, even if I have a lot of reservations about him, he's more talented than Bismack Biyombo. I would rather have Biyombo because I think he is elite at something that they need right now more than what Wood can bring. But either way, what you don't want is neither.
Right. I mean, it's the Lakers just don't have any leverage in this conversation.
No.
So, I mean, I think they've probably made their preferences or their offers
but
pretty clear, but they can't make those moves happen.
Right. But from things that are reported and stuff like that, it feels like they have not made a solid offer to Bismack Biyombo because their first choice is Christian Wood.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I would probably be different if they knew Biyombo was getting the same offers from 3 other teams and was getting close to moving on them. I'm sure they're back channeling all of these things, but
one hope.
It gets back to what you were saying before. It's a fascinating thing to think about for the proverbial 14th spot. How much this matters. It's the only hole that they have left on the roster.
We get asked about this a lot, and I get it. I totally get why we do.
But the disclaimer still holds. Finding somebody who can bang bodies with Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid
while also hitting threes.
Right. Not a choice.
No,
not a choice.
That guy doesn't exist, much less at the veterans minimum.
Do it, Rob. All right, let's talk Kobe. The announcement for the statue will be February 8th, 2024. That's 2/8/24. Reasoning there pretty obvious, but we'll talk about what this is going to mean for Lakers fans and just the whole thing around it. Do that next. So I admit, Andy, I was a little bit skeptical about whether or not they'd be able to do this on time and how they were clearly further along in the process.
I told you that they were.
I thought you could be right, but I was just going based on the reporting, which said none of this had been thought about. That they just picked a date. Well, apparently the Daily Mail, I think it was that where it was. They were spot on 2/8/24. The symbolism there very clear for Lakers fans. So February 8th, 2024, the statue, which will feature Kobe and Gigi, will be unveiled at the Crypt. And so that is going to be, to say the least, Andy, a transcendent moment in Lakers history, just given everything that Kobe has meant in the circumstances around it.
Yeah, Vanessa Bryant posted a video at 8:24 a.m. Last Thursday. I saw the video. I didn't realize that it came out precisely at that time. But she said in the video, quote, "As you know, Kobe played his entire 20-year NBA career as a Los Angeles Laker. Since arriving in this city and joining the Lakers organization, he felt at home here, playing in the City of Angels. On behalf of the Lakers, my daughters and me, I am so honored that right in the center of Los Angeles, in front of the place that is known as the house that Kobe built, we are going to unveil a statue so that his legacy can be celebrated forever." Jeannie Buss later added that Kobe Bryant was one of the most extraordinary athletes of all time and one of the most iconic individuals in the history of Los Angeles. There's no better place for Kobe to be honored than with a statue here at the center of our city, where everyone can celebrate him and be inspired by his incredible achievements. It's interesting. The date 2/8/24 honors both Kobe and Gigi. It has not been made clear that the statue will itself, like the actual art, the depiction of it.
Okay, my understanding is that from reading that they would both be involved, but
I don't know. I know there's been a lot of assumption. I don't actually, and maybe you're correct. I have not seen anything. I've not seen anything confirming that Gigi will be represented in the statue, which, I mean, really matters a lot, I guess, in the sense of the art that you would pick, because if you're looking for, the iconic images of Kobe throughout his career, as a player, they're not going to involve his family. Just, they're going to be things that happened on the court. There are a lot of different images that upon retirement that people do remember with Kobe and Gigi, but that's obviously a very different, stage in his life, and also a very different image that, might otherwise be depicted in a statue. But either way, Gigi will be represented certainly in the unveiling, and she's going to always be on everybody's minds when they think about Kobe.
It's an interesting thing, and like I said, if I'm wrong about this, then I'm wrong. Maybe it was just based on the date and some of the other stuff that I read, the assumption that she would be part of the artwork. It gets to how because I remember we used to have these debates, like, what's the pose? What do you pick? Do you pick, for a 20-year career, the span of images that you could go with, young Afro Kobe with the tongue out and the high flyer as it gets older, I think the image that people I think would have gone with for like later stage Kobe would have been that something with the fadeaway jumper, like the turnaround fadeaway that you could immortalize and all that. But
I would personally go with him on the scorer's table after winning title number 5 against Boston.
The next thing that I was going to say is that pose of him, because it represents so much of both him. It's a instantly recognizable, not just Kobe moment, Kobe pose, but historical moment.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to understand exactly what that came from. And plus it would just be cool looking, like just that outside the stadium. Like you go in there, like this is where we hang banners and that's the thing you walk by on your way in. That would be cool. But there would be something like if they, just to say like, hypothetically, if it is something that involves Gigi, I think, there's also something that's kind of powerful and understated and speaks to the circumstances and the reason that he will not be there for the statue unveiling, that they go with that now iconic picture of the two of them on the sidelines just sitting together and watching a game. Like that would be an incredibly powerful image as well, like to take Kobe Bryant and not make the statue of him playing basketball says something I think powerful as well.
There's a lot of different ways they could go with this. I'm sorry, finish your thought. Go ahead. I was reading a piece on CNN about this, just getting some of the info, and the Lakers also said that the statue is going to be the first in a series of physical tributes to honor his legacy. So there will be other opportunities perhaps as well to, more directly and formally acknowledge Gigi as well. If they feel like the statue almost becomes too abstract in a certain way, if you're right, or it looks too different compared
or is
to
it,
the rest of them.
Is it weird or is it inappropriate?
Right.
You have this thing of athletes around the side and, who knows what the tragedy of this, what she might have been able to become as a basketball player, but in this ring of athletes, is that the right place?
Right. You want to make sure that you get something like this correct. I mean, correct's the wrong word because
but I think I understand what you mean, and I think other people do as well.
Right. It's interesting too. The CNN piece that I was reading. First of all, Kobe's the 7th Lakers icon with a statue. Elgin, Chick, Kareem, Magic, Shaq, Jerry West. It's just crazy. I mean,
and there's not one that you go,
no,
come on, guys.
Elgin, Chick, Kareem, Magic, Shaq, Jerry West. None of them feel like, no, really?
Really? Statue for that guy? Are we doing that really?
But the other thing, though, that I found, this was fun, when in this CNN piece, it pointed out that Kobe was the all-time leader for the Lakers in regular seasons, games played, points, three-pointers made, steals, free throws made. He was also the leader for playoffs for games played, points, three-pointers made, and free throws made. It got me curious about some of the other categories where Kobe wouldn't be the obvious leader. Where do you think he ranks in blocks? All-time Laker franchise. And he is all of these are not trick questions. He is in the top 10, at least for all of these.
Sure. And blocks is an interesting reason, just because they only started keeping track of it at a certain time. I don't know, he's probably like 7th.
5th.
Okay.
Behind Kareem, Shaq, Eldon Campbell, Vlade Divac. Got 12 more than Andrew Bynum. Where do you think he is in assists?
Oh, pretty high. Magic's in front of him. No, I would say no lower than 5th. I'm going to go with 4th.
2nd.
Okay. I was inclined to say 3rd.
Behind Magic, as you said, just 3,835 behind Magic. You want to talk about one of those records?
We always said he needed to pass more.
You want to talk about one of those franchise records? Like the Bus great-grandchildren will be running this team. That record's safe. That one is going
Who's
nowhere.
3rd?
Third for assists is Jerry West.
Jerry West. Okay.
About 75 behind Kobe.
Okay.
Triple doubles.
I'm going to say third.
Fourth
Okay.
behind Magic, LeBron,
Russell Westbrook.
No, Elgin Baylor.
That
Russ.
was a joke, Andy.
No,
Russell is higher than you think, though.
Russ, that shouldn't be a joke. Russ is sixth on the franchise list. Missed Jerry West for fifth by just 2 triple doubles. Did that in a season and a half.
I know. I was just trolling people. Just
right, but you know what?
Up a lot of them. No,
I was going to say it's not a great troll job because he was really high.
Sure, it just makes people mad.
10th, by the way, a tie between Pau Gasol and Julius Randle.
How many?
They each had 5.
Okay, I was about to say it's a pretty low number.
No, but I mean, it's.
I'm just saying it's a lower. It's the point being with Russ being a 6. It's a lower number than you think. No,
Russ had 14.
Right, but it's not 86 triple doubles. But anyway,
if you've given Russ enough time, Kobe was also 6th all time for offensive rebounds for the franchise, and 5th and 2nd for defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Who do you think also too? I had no idea about this. Who do you think is the all-time leader for the Lakers in points per game?
Von Wafer. Points per game.
If Von had his way, sure.
What's
points per game?
Based on how many? Just like one game?
No. I mean they don't. They do this based on you have to play a baseline. Yes.
God, it's a tough question. Because, Kobe's was dragged down a little bit near the end. Kareem's was certainly dragged down near the end. Magic was never a high scorer like that. Wilt didn't score like that when he was a Laker. I'm going to say Elgin.
You're very, very close. Elgin and LeBron are tied.
This is going to sound so stupid. I forgot about LeBron James.
They're tied.
Because you know what? You know why? Because you had just given me 30 cumulative things, and then you switch to points per game, and so my brain is locked into
fair enough
cumulative. But right, LeBron, who's averaged 27 and a half, 28 points a game as a Laker,
27.4 points per game as a Laker. Also, I did not realize this until looking this up. Austin Reeves is currently, according to Basketball Reference metrics, the franchise all-time leader in true shooting percentage and offensive rating. He is him. Austin Reeves is him, kids.
It is really hard to do a GOAT that doesn't sound like a sheep. It's hard. That's a tough one. I don't know if I was calling him a goat or a sheep there. I was going for goat. that guy's a sheep. The other guy's a goat.
Also, the last thing I noticed too, going through this, that must have just eaten Kobe up. Smush Parker is 0.2 steals ahead of Kobe for steals per game.
I'm surprised he didn't spend that last game instead of trying to score 60, trying to get him steals to pass Smush.
Smush Parker is he's tied for 4th on the all-time steals per game for the franchise at 1.6. Kobe was 8th with 1.4.
Get that man in the Ring of Honor.
It must have honestly, if Kobe was aware of that, that would have bothered him. I actually think that would have bothered him.
Probably would have. Man, did he hold that guy in contempt?
Yes, he did.
All right. I cannot believe I forgot about LeBron James. Dang, man. But that speaks to the Lakers too. You can be so stuck in all the other greats that you're forgetting about LeBron James, who's there right now. I would imagine points per game, Anthony Davis is probably top-ish, getting there pretty close. He's in the top 10 somewhere, probably top.
Anthony Davis is 6th. Yeah. He's 6th for points per game for the franchise.
Pretty good.
Your leaders are, by the way, LeBron and Elgin tied, then Shaq and West tied, Kobe, AD, George Mikan, Kareem, Cedric Sabalas, and Magic.
All right. So I had something I was going to say, but I forgot, and we're running low on time anyway. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, where you can go to see show, hang out, and argue about Magic Johnson versus Steph Curry. We did not get to Austin Reeves. We'll get to that this week. Team USA crushing it with him on the floor. That whole second unit really ought to be the first unit. It seems. So we'll get to that as the week goes on. Again, guests, let us know who you want us to get on the show, and we will doggedly pursue them. And we will see everyone next time. Thanks.